So today's January 22nd, 2025. A day or two ago, Elon Musk did a physical gesture that certainly looked a lot like a Nazi salute, but there's disagreement of whether it was intentional or not, whether he meant for it to be a Nazi salute or not. And the two options or the two possibilities are that option one, it was an accident. He self-describes himself as autistic. This could have been an awkward gesture that he made in a moment of excitement. And option two, or possibility two, was that he intended to do a Nazi salute. So I'm gonna steelman the case for possibility one and unpack that. And Socrates would love to ask you to unpack for us option two, or if you want to restate it, feel free to do that. But the idea that Elon Musk intentionally did a Nazi salute.
Yeah, so for anybody who hasn't seen the video of him doing this at the inauguration, you should watch it. He puts his hand up to his chest. He puts it out. He turns around and does the same gesture to the flag. Um, there's
Okay, so what was
no.
what was what was his goal? Like, what do you think his goal was? That's what I'm trying to understand. Like,
Mhm.
so you think that he intentionally did a Nazi salute?
Yeah, 100%.
He's to say that he's a Nazi, to say that he supports the Nazis. Like, what do you think his goal was in doing that?
Um, So this question of like, is he a Nazi or does he just support Nazis? It was clearly a show of support to Nazis. Whether or not he's a Nazi, it becomes very irrelevant.
Oh, what's his goal? Like, what do you think his goal is?
I think his goal is to pander as hard as possible to a base. Um,
Oh,
Fascism is the merging of corporations and the state. And
do
you
you
have
think
for the
that?
first time ever three of the wealthiest people in the world, including Elon Musk, who's the wealthiest person in the world, who controls a media platform that he
Mhm.
used specifically to try to get one particular candidate elected. And now he's risen to power.
Yeah, and
This
by
is
the
the
way,
recipe for fascism.
I'm not even like arguing or debating you at this point. I'm just trying to understand your perspective and argument, and I can absolutely be convinced. Like, I'm just trying to understand the perspective, or like what would
Hmm.
what's behind the idea that he did this intentionally. So you're saying you believe he did it intentionally because he's pandering to a base. So my
Hmm.
next question would be, are you saying that the base of Elon or Trump supporters are Nazis? Like, do you think that the base of Trump supporters, which is the majority of the country, support people who support Nazis? Like, do you think, another way to say it, the majority of this country who supported Donald Trump, do they support Nazis? Like, I'm just trying to follow
Hmm.
what you mean when you say he's pandering to their base. That doesn't follow for me.
Right. So the Nazi Party was a particular party that existed in Germany in the 30s and 40s. And it started with um, Hitler and leaders being kind of laughed at, getting arrested, getting out of jail. Nobody thought that they would really rise to power. They weren't ever talking about killing Jews. This is a very particular thing that happened at a time and place. So when we're talking about fascism or Nazis or whatever, these are kind of like things that people refer to, but everybody within like the most hardcore, anti-Semitic racist core of MAGA are not all Nazis because that was like 100 years ago this ideology existed. There's some people who might think of themselves as Nazis, but the main thing is that the things that they have in common with what the Nazis had 100 years ago. So you have groups like the Proud Boys, who at Trump's beckoning went to the Capitol to perform an insurrection, and when he was asked to disown them, he said, "Stand down and stand by." So you have these kind of like militia, pseudo paramilitary groups that are rising to protect this leader, and it's not that they're literally exactly Nazis. That's way too specific. Um, but the same kind of like groups and ideologies, and among those, so you're asking, are there like kind of like Nazi or neo-Nazi beliefs? Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's one of the firebrands for the MAGA movement, talked about Jewish space lasers setting fires in California. right? And you
Yeah,
have Elon Musk specifically, who's helping to allow and promote a huge amount of specifically neo Nazis, but in general, a lot of like
yeah.
alt right people on
So,
his
but
platform.
here's my issue with that is that, so you're saying that the salute that he did
Mhm.
was to pander to his and Trump's supporters,
So,
and
so
that
by
the
the
wait,
way, wait, wait, wait.
let me just
So
make
this is
one point.
so this is the
The
issue. So you can talk about like why exactly did he do
yeah,
a Nazi salute?
hmm
And we are talking about that. We can talk about that. We should
that's
talk
the whole
about
point
that.
of this call. The whole point
But
is why he do it,
what
and
is
the other option is
undeniable is that he did a like Heil
yeah, but
Hitler Nazi
no, but
salute twice
the whole
on
premise to me
stage.
of the whole point of this conversation is that there's two viewpoints. One viewpoint is yours, that he did this, and we can unpack the reasons why, which I'd like to do.
Hmm.
The other possibility that like at least half of people believe, if not more, is that he there was no meaning behind it. Like I said at the beginning of this call, like he did it. He's this guy. He's physically awkward sometimes. He's very excited, and he didn't mean to resemble a Nazi salute. And I think to you, that excuse is like total BS. Like you don't buy it.
I think the people who say that, so that like let's say it's 50%, whatever, just for sake of argument,
Whatever percent.
50% of people
Yeah, but look, the whole
say
point
that
of this
they
conversation
don't think that
is
it was that. I think that maybe there's like 10% people who believe that, who mean it when they say that, and the whatever, you know,
no,
80% of people
I
who say
actually think
that.
I believe that. No, I sincerely, like, the whole point of this conversation,
No,
Socrates,
no,
is that
no. I'm not saying that you don't, but I'm saying that in general, when I see when I'm seeing people, you know, I've seen this news story come up, and when I look in the comments or on Facebook or whatever, when people say that they don't think he did that, what they say is, here's a photo of Kamala Harris with her hand up. Here's a photo of Elizabeth Warren with
oh
her hand
yeah,
up.
yeah. What they're saying is that he didn't mean any, like he didn't mean anything by it. They're saying like he was waving his arms around, he was excited, and he didn't mean to do explicitly that. It wasn't intentional.
If you can show me one person who looks like they're doing that gesture, who didn't mean to do it,
I think
then
people
we
have
have
shared
something to
photos of
talk
that.
about.
I think people have shared photos of that. I haven't.
Exactly, exactly. People shared photos. And what happens when you
Right.
look at the videos?
They're
There's
probably not
Kamala
as
saying things like, "We're not
we're
going
getting
back."
listen, wait, hold on. We're getting like off track.
Okay?
The, the the point of this conversation is that he did what resembles a Nazi salute. That is a fact.
Yes.
The point of this conversation is to unpack two options. The first option that I will steel man, which is that he did this sort of haphazardly, unknowingly, just he's an awkward guy. I can try to explain that. But first, the more interesting perspective that I'd like you to explain is the second possibility, which is that he did this intentionally.
Mhm.
And so my question to you is, why did he do it intentionally? Why did he intentionally do a Nazi salute? And your answer to me 10 minutes ago was that
Mhm.
he did it because he's pandering to his base. So
Mhm.
my follow-up question, I'm trying to understand, let's just go with this line of thinking. So
Yep.
he did the salute intentionally to pander to his base. And I said, who is that? And you described these different extremist groups
Mhm.
within the base, which do exist. But the
Some of
obvious
whom would
counter,
be
wait, hold on.
neo-Nazi, some of
I'm
whom are
sorry, I'll be
not.
really quick. But the obvious counter argument is that 90 whatever percent of Trump and Elon's base are not extremists. They're average Americans because over 50% of the country of the voters voted for Trump, and most of them are not extremists. So according to your argument, if he did this to pander to the extremist groups, Elon Musk would be alienating the majority of Trump voters. That's what I don't understand about your explanation.
Mhm. Okay, so I think this is where I need to go with this, which is to look at, if we're gonna make allusions to the Nazis, then let's take that historical reference for what it was. So do you think that in Nazi Germany in the 30s and 40s, that the vast majority, 90%, 80% of Germans, that they hated Jews and they wanted to kill Jews? Do you think
I
that
don't know historically, but
most Germans throughout history, they all hate Jews and they all want to kill
no,
Jews?
probably not.
No,
No.
it was right. There's some portion of the base that maybe some of them really hate Jews, and maybe some of them just want, you know, just want something to go along with, and they're willing to buy into
Do
that.
you agree that? Elon
But
Musk is alienating his Republican base if, in fact, he's intentionally doing a Nazi salute? Do you agree that he would be alienating the majority of the Trump base if he were to intentionally do a Nazi salute? Do you agree with that, or just
what's the difference between what he did and intentionally doing a Nazi salute?
intentionally would be saying like, yeah, I did the Nazi, like I meant to do that, like
So
saying,
you're not talking about intentionally doing the Nazi salute. You're saying
yeah,
telling
no, no, no,
people
no,
that
no,
he intentionally did a
we're getting
Nazi salute.
no intentionally, intentionally
What's the
doing it, like.
difference between what he did on that stage
Mhm.
and intentionally doing a Nazi salute? What's the
So the
difference?
difference is, so what he did was he was very energetic and he was waving his arms. And at one point he said, I want to give my heart to you. And he put his hand in his heart and then he put his hand out to the crowd,
Mm-hmm.
potentially not realizing the gesture he
And
was
then
doing.
what did he do?
Intentionally would
And then
mean,
what did he do?
and and then he did it again.
And then he turned
But
around and he did it again to the flag.
right. So again, my question is, what do you think but there's two possibilities. One is that this is like a crazy coincidence that he did this gesture and didn't mean it, which is what the ADL says, by the way. Like, I would like to hear how you grapple with that.
I don't think there's a lot to grapple with, right?
You think that they're what, secretly Nazis?
No, I don't think they're Nazis,
What do
but
you think's going on there?
it's been well established that for the last like 30 years or so, say, they've given up on their mission of actually going after anti-Semitism and just being a shield for Israel.
Okay.
And there
So
unfortunately are some of the staunchest supporters of Israel are massive
yeah.
anti-Semites. It's strange. It's a strange world.
But you're okay. Wait, sorry. Back to my original question that I
Mm-hmm.
really want to understand is that, and again, like I'm open to being convinced. Like, I haven't dug deep into
Mm-hmm.
this. I'm just sort of like Occam's razor would say, oh, he didn't mean to do that, because
So your
to
question is,
explain why
wouldn't
he
he
did this, you
alienate
have to
people?
come up with this kind of crazy narrative. Like, you
It's
really
not
do.
crazy. It's very, very straightforward.
He's
You're
if
saying that
he
he
did
would
it intentionally,
alienate
if
people
he did it
if he
intentionally,
did
he's
it intentionally.
alienating.
Okay.
What?
If he did intentionally, he's alienating people. That's your premise, right?
Yes. The
What
specifically.
do people say? What do people like right now, today, yesterday,
Mhm.
who are defending it? What do they say?
Who, it depends who the extremists who are Nazis are probably saying, yeah, he's a Nazi,
Do you
just
think
like me.
everybody defending it or saying? Do you think
No, some of
everybody
them are
defending
saying
it is a neo-Nazi?
no. Some of them are probably, some of this are saying that what the ADL said is that, oh, he just did a gesture, he's
Are a
awkward.
few of
Like,
them saying that, or is it like most people are saying
most,
that?
I think most people are saying, yeah, he's awkward. He was just excited. He didn't mean to do that.
Mm-hmm. Have you? I mean, you just said that you're familiar with you understand what I'm talking about when I say people post other photos of other politicians
Yeah,
with a
yeah. To
still
say,
frame with their arm up, right? That
yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, right? And you've seen people
yeah,
say that and say, look, if you're going to call everybody who has their arm up a Nazi, then all these people are Nazis. Okay,
right.
what happens when you look at the videos from those
I
photos?
haven't watched the videos. I
Okay,
assume it's not as
well
explicit.
you should. It's not that it's not as explicit.
Okay,
There's not a lot more that you could
Socrates, all
do.
you're proving is that those examples of Obama aren't good
Okay,
examples and posted
if
photos. So,
it's the
so
case that people who are defending this use whataboutism, which is to say, oh,
I'm not. I don't
this
know why we're
looks
talking about
bad,
that.
but if
I
you were
don't
to do
support that.
something, if you look at other examples, it also looks bad, but then you actually look at those examples and it doesn't look bad. The totality is people are willing to say, oh, whatever happened, it didn't actually happen. So your premise that if he intentionally did this, so okay, step into my world.
I've asked one
Let's say that
question that
he
you
did
haven't answered.
intentionally
What
do this.
you have not explained what his intention was. You're saying it's just to rally his base.
Mm-hmm.
I've said over and over, and I'd like you to respond to this. It does not build support in his base. If he did this intentionally meaning he meant to exude a Nazi salute,
Mm-hmm.
doing, and he said yes. Whether the word intention we're getting. The point I'm trying to make is that if it were known by his supporters that he did the Nazi salute, it would alienate his supporters from him, and therefore the motive makes no sense.
If Elon Musk said that was a Nazi salute, your contention is that would alienate supporters.
It would, the majority. Do you? Yes,
Did
because
he
we
say
know
that?
what
Did he say that?
did he say? What?
Did Elon Musk say that was a Nazi salute?
No,
Okay, so what are we talking about?
I'm saying if he said
He
it was
did
a.
the gesture. Okay. So for the sake of argument, let's say it was intentional. Who was it
Was or wasn't?
alienated?
Was or was not?
That it was intentional. I
Okay.
think it's intentional. Let's say,
Okay.
let's step in the hypothetical that it
Then
was
yes, it would have.
intentional.
Yes, then it would have. Well, if it was, then he would admit it. First of all, why
Why
would
would
he
he?
not
Why
admit
would he? you're making a logical leap that just it's
it? Okay,
it's
so let's say he
nonsense what you're
wouldn't.
saying.
So yes, it would alienate it. But if it was intention, but the thing is that we don't know what's in someone's heart and mind, like unless they say, why would he do it and then not admit to it? Like if his whole point,
Why would he admit to it? I don't understand what you're talking about.
because if he's trying to send a message, why would he contradict what he's doing? Why would you say, why would you do something and say, oh no, I didn't mean that? Like the whole point of doing a salute would be to like again, it would be very contradict. Like, why would you assume that he would not stand behind his action? Like, if the whole world saw him do something and he meant something by it, he'd say, "Yeah, I did that. I meant something by it." Otherwise, why would he want it to
You
be
think that
ambiguous?
Nazis wouldn't recognize if somebody uses a slightly coded, or in this case, I don't think it was that coded. But let's step into something more coded. You don't think that Nazis pick up on dog whistles is like the terminology for it?
I'm just saying that the majority of Trump supporters are not Nazis, and so therefore,
I agree that the vast majority of Trump supporters are not Nazis.
so they would
That's
be
not my
alienated.
contention.
So they would be alienated if
Okay,
Elon Musk
he
were
did this
to.
gesture,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, and they are not.
Are people alienated?
No, because they don't believe he was sincere.
Okay.
Because they didn't mean he
They
intended. They didn't think he
well,
intended. And we were saying intended. That we're using these words like
some people are willing to buy that it wasn't sincere. They're willing to tell other people, willing to tell themselves. Some people probably like it, right? So there's some people who are
I think a very
neo-Nazis.
small. I think like 1% of people are like think that it was a Nazi salute and are happy about it. And most Trump supporters do not think it was. They don't think it was intentional.
Mhm.
In other words, they don't think that he didn't physically intend to do that.
So
You know what?
so when
Word
Marjorie
intentional.
Taylor
I'm
Marjorie
saying
Taylor Greene said
yeah, she's crazy.
that Jewish space lasers set fires in LA, not the current time, but
She's crazy.
okay,
She's
what
crazy.
happened after she said that? What happened to her? Was she
Some people thought
canceled?
she was. Some people thought no, she wasn't canceled. I don't know. Was she? I
What
don't know.
happened?
I don't remember. I don't
She
know.
was elected.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. What happened when Donald Trump sat down for dinner with Nick Fuentes and Kanye West or Ye?
I just think it's a little conspiratorial to say that. Like,
Look,
do you
wait,
think that?
okay. To be clear, I'm not saying the strong claim of anybody who does a Nazi thing ever automatically gets elected. What I'm saying is that
No, no,
the
it's
level of
conspiratorial to assume.
disqualification that you're implying might be the case from these kinds of actions, show me some record of it.
Of what? Oh. I
Somebody
get.
doing something that's kind of might be Nazi-ish, or is like, clearly anti-Semitic, or these
Oh,
kinds of
look.
dog whistles are pandering,
I
and
want
they
to
get
come back to.
disqualified for
I
it.
want to
What's
come
one
back to how.
example?
Yeah. I don't want to. I don't know. I don't know the specific.
Right.
But that's like we're going down like some.
So
I want to
you're
come back to my.
saying it would be disqualifying if he did this. You can't
Not
think of one
disqualifying.
example
No,
of
not
when somebody's been
disqualifying.
disqualified.
I'm not disqualifying, but yeah, most
if
probably
if
Marjorie
Joe
Taylor Greene.
Biden or Kamala Harris actually did something that resembled a Nazi salute, and they had
Mhm,
any kind of so let's get to the real question. Okay, right? If I did something that looked like a
mhm.
Nazi salute, you'd probably be like, "Oh, that was something else," right? Because I don't espouse Nazi rhetoric, right?
And same with Elon Musk. He does
Elon
not
Musk
espouse. Does
constantly
not
talks about how we need to fix the birth rate and deal with
by putting it
criminals
up,
coming
by
into this
raising it, by
country.
raising the birth rate.
Um, talking about Donald Trump specifically, he's directly quoting Hitler, right?
Huh?
Donald Trump. So I don't know what percent of the MAGA base is like specifically Nazis, but Donald Trump is talking about immigrants poisoning the blood of this country. It's possible that that seeped in subconsciously because he
You're
sleeps with a
you're
book of
attaching. You're just
Hitler's
going.
speeches next to his bed.
You're just connecting. Like you're weaving together this narrative that's very complex and could be true.
It's not complex. Okay.
It is complex.
Okay.
You think that Elon
Here's
Musk is like
simple. here's simple
has like
things.
Nazi ideology?
Here
You think he
here's
has like you think Elon Musk
here's
has
simple
Nazi
things. So you're
thoughts and
talking about, could MAGA have, could MAGA or Trump? Okay, Trump is the leader of MAGA, right?
Mhm.
His ex-wife says that he sleeps next to, on his bedstand, a book of Hitler's speeches. What did Trump
Does
say in
really?
response?
I don't know. What do you say?
He said, "My friend gave me that book, and but he's Jewish. Don't worry." What did his friend say? His
I don't
friend
know.
said, "Yeah, I gave him that book, but I'm not Jewish."
Okay.
You think somebody who's like learning how to do political speeches from Hitler and is constantly quoting Hitler and is starting to do some of the things that
Wait,
Hitler
Elon
started to
Musk or
do?
Trump? Like, who
Trump.
is Elon Musk?
Because you were talking about MAGA.
Am I talking about MAGA?
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about,
I'm just
you
saying,
said that
look,
this would alienate
I'm
MAGA.
just saying, look, the first thing I opened with was Elon Musk did this crazy gesture. There's two ways we can interpret it. One was that it was an error, like he wasn't thinking and he was up there and he was excited and he's waving his arms and then he waved his arm in this direction and that's one explanation. It's like I can say it in one breath, right? Like he
Maybe
got
he
up
was
there.
having a stroke and his arm just happened to
No,
do that
not a
twice.
stroke. No, maybe he said my heart goes out to
He
you.
accidentally
And
did a Nazi salute twice.
he said my heart goes out to you. He put his hand on his heart and then out to the crowd. He said my heart goes out to you. You
Okay,
can watch the video.
what does that have to do with?
He said my heart, and then he
Okay,
put his hand on his heart,
and
and
then
then
he
he
did a
said,
Nazi salute.
and then he said goes out to you, and then he could have went like goes out to you.
But he
And
didn't. He did a Nazi salute instead.
right. So there's two explanations of why he did that. One is that he was saying my heart goes out to you, and then he just did this thing that essentially was a
That
Nazi
only
salute,
Nazis do.
or people who are excited. I don't.
Like
I'm just
who?
saying
What's one
like you're.
example?
I just gave one. I'm
Who?
just
What? No, you didn't.
giving one
What's one
example.
example? What's one example of somebody doing that accidentally?
I don't know. I don't have one off the top of. I
So
don't.
so
It happens a
nobody
lot.
does this accidentally. If he did, it intentionally would be disqualifying, but it doesn't seem to be disqualifying. And when people say this kind of thing overtly, it doesn't seem to be disqualifying either for this base. And
But the
him and
base,
Trump
but
keep
again, the
saying
base is
Nazi
50%.
things.
Like I'm just no, I think
What?
it's
It's the
definitely
most
possible.
simple thing.
The Occam's razor would say was he just was up there, he was
Okay,
excited.
if somebody keeps saying Nazi things and they
Elon Musk
keep
is not,
behaving like a
yeah,
Nazi,
then yes, I would say it's not. Does Elon
okay,
Musk say Nazi things? Does Elon Musk say Nazi things?
yeah,
What is he?
he's constantly spewing anti-Semitic theories
Elon
on.
Musk? What does he
Yeah,
say? What
here.
does
Okay,
Elon Musk say?
I'll pull one up.
Wait,
Let's see
wait,
what the
yeah, yeah.
first thing. Elon Musk anti-Semitic tweet.
What
Let's
is? Oh
see.
no, no, he did it. He did say. He did say. I remember
Yeah,
this
he
one on
said
Twitter.
Jewish people, blah, 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 Jewish people, hatred against whites, and he was like, "Oh yeah, this is the real thing."
I remember one thing he said that did come off very anti-Semitic. That was concerning.
Hmm.
And I did think it was really poor judgment to post it. But I guess do you see Elon Musk as like fundamentally against Jewish people? I don't.
I don't think that that's his like primary thing. I think he's much more power hungry than he is like deeply at his core like primarily driven by anti-Semitism.
Yeah, I don't think.
I don't think
I
that
don't-
that's the case. I think
right.
he more wants to be liked and he wants power. I think
Okay.
those are much
Sure.
more his kind of drives.
Okay. So then, but again, like you're trying to describe him, um, as an anti-Semite,
Okay.
as a Nazi.
If somebody is a death camp guard and they sometimes have to shoot some people in the concentration camp, to keep them from leaving, but they don't like really hate Jews. Like, all of their
Mm,
friends were joining up for the Nazi party. It would be really awkward not to. They might fear for their own lives. It was kind of
mhm,
like a thing that was happening.
mhm.
Like, what do you say about that situation?
Say about who?
Like, are they really anti-Semitic? Like, I don't know. I feel like who cares
I'm
at that
asking,
point?
like, the whole point of this conversation is what was his motivation? That's my question to you. I have my thoughts. And your explanation is that he's an anti-Semite. And so I'm saying, do you
No,
really
no, it
know?
wasn't. That's not a fair characterization.
But like, I'm having a hard time understanding. Like, you're saying that
I'm
Trump is
saying he's
anti-Semitic.
motivated by power.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm with
right?
you.
I think, I
Yep.
mean, that's clear. There's no like, right?
Yes, I'm totally agreement with you there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So Trump is bringing him in with political power. What is the technical term for a system that merges corporate and government power? What's like the most common term for that?
Is it
That's
fascism? Is that the term?
fascism. That's, you know, that's generally like the
So then
term for
because
that.
of it's a fascism, and then
Mm-hmm.
walk towards. So then, where does the like where does an intentional Nazi salute come in? Like, what's the goal there? Doing that.
There seemed to be a huge rise of right-wing extremist groups. They're not all specifically Nazis, but
Yeah.
they all respond favorably to that
To
kind of thing, right?
okay.
So there's people who are Nazis and there's people who get excited about
Mhm.
that kind of thing. Who maybe that's not exactly like their main motivation. That's not their thing. They're into lots of conspiracy theories. You know, it's not just like anti-Semitic ones, but it's certainly not disqualifying, and a lot of people are pretty excited about it. What have I said that's like clearly not true, or is like
Nothing is
complicated or
explicitly
confusing?
no. Nothing is explicitly wrong. Like your theory is a holds up logically. Like you're.
Okay, what
I
would
can
you
go from
what would
point
you
A to
need to
point B.
see? What would you need to see to start like
I would need to
to get
believe
to
that.
get more certain about any of this, or for
Yeah,
this to,
like I
yeah.
think that what drives Elon Musk fundamentally is like, yeah, like money, power, success. I
Mm-hmm,
think driving humanity forward. I think he wants to get to Mars. I think he wants to have successful companies. I think he wants to see the country succeed. I
mm-hmm.
don't think he's driven at all by fascism, like zero. I think he's not driven by anti-Semitism.
Okay,
I
what would
think
it mean for him to be driven by fascism?
you know what,
What?
he doesn't win by doing a Nazi salute. Like he doesn't get like if he could go back a day, 24 hours, 48
Mhm,
hours, and go up on that stage again, realizing that his frantic motions, like one of them was resembled identically a Nazi salute,
uh-huh.
I believe he wouldn't do it. And I believe that he's kicking himself right now. When you watch
Do
the
you have
video
do
and
you have
he's
any evidence of that, or is that just like who knows,
evidence.
maybe?
You don't have neither of us have evidence. We're just talking based on like our common sense
Ha,
interpretation.
has he ever said something like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I said something like that. I realized that it came off kind of anti-Semitic, and I really didn't mean it." That
I think
has he ever
I
once said anything
yeah,
like that ever? What's
yes.
it? When has he said that?
About Twitter when he tweeted something anti-Semitic and then he walked it back and apologized.
Okay.
And then he like visited Israel and did a whole thing and apologized on stage. But I think right now I'm guessing he just doesn't want to fan the flames is my guess. But like to me the gestalt of Elon Musk and Donald Trump, there's plenty of bad things to say about them. I do not personally think that they are anti-Semitic.
Look, so
I
so
just don't believe. I just don't think
so this
so.
is so this is one of those things where, okay, so here's an example. So with Trump, do you
Mhm.
think do you think Trump like really really hates black people, or do you think he's just willing to use racism to kind of like get ahead?
Yeah, I guess. But does he? I don't know. I don't think he. I
So
don't know.
so I think there's an argument kind of in both, like in both directions, and it is complicated to know exactly like what's the real driving force in someone. But when he took out a full page ad in the paper to say that, was it three or five, the Franklin Park 5,
Mhm,
um, that he said that these innocent boys
mhm,
who were initially thought to have raped somebody in, sorry, the Central Park 5, initially thought to have raped a woman in Central Park, um, that it turned out that they were innocent and the real rapist was caught. He put out a full page ad saying that they should be put to death, and
mhm.
he's never apologized. So the
Okay.
difference between somebody really, really being racist or really, really being anti Semitic, or just willing to use racism or anti Semitism in a way
Mhm,
that dehumanizes and endangers a group of people in order to get ahead, I don't think
yeah.
we're even splitting hairs. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah. I okay.
I think it
Look.
really is the same thing. I've
At the end of
I've
the
got
day,
to I've got to
yeah,
run.
at the end of the
Give me
day,
your
doing it,
final thought.
yeah, at the end of the day, it, given like what's in Elon Musk's heart and his ambitions, he knows, and we know it doesn't serve him to intentionally do a Nazi salute. So the motive is just not there. And yeah, yes, it panders to some extremists, but like the idea that you're putting together of like, oh, it panders to these extremists, but also the rest of the party doesn't condemn it, and also something about like economics plus politics equals fascism, and fascism plus Nazis equals like, and then in Germany, and like you have to make all these connections, and like it's simply put, it doesn't help him. That's it. Like it doesn't help him with the public.
All right.
So I don't think he would do something that doesn't help him.
All right. Thank you for the conversation.
All right. See you.
Take